What's up, y'all? So, since I just did a review on the Rasasi Shiraz, kind of got me thinking maybe I should do, and I mentioned La Yucawam, thinking maybe I should do just a quick, or not a quick, but reviews of the Rasasi fragrances that I have, which aren't that many, but I have picked up two before the Shiraz. And I guess the reason that really sparked it is the first one that I got, which was La Yucawam, is, I think one of their oldest ones, as far as like hype beasts or ones that were supposed to do a pretty good job of imitating or cloning an original fragrance. And this one is supposed to be the Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. So as far as Tuscan Leather goes, I and ombre leather. So Tuscan leather and ombre leather are to me very similar. Everyone talks about this raspberry note that they get off of the Tuscan leather versus the ombre leather. I think it has, to me at least, not as sharp of a sweetness note, but a little bit more mellowed out, like marshmallowy kind of suede leather, and not as sharp of a leather that the Tuscan has. I don't know if that's the raspberry or maybe some other like tonka or something in the ombre. I'm not sure. I don't know the notes, but it is a little bit more smoother, suedier leather than like a very harsh, like a harsh type of leather. La Yucawam, I feel, is definitely more like Tuscan leather and has, um, at this point, more performance. The Tuscan leather that I think since Estee Lauder's taken over and since Tom Ford's kind of gone through um, what you want to call reformulations, I don't know, but I think that, and this bottle is kind of old, at least the original Yucawams are, you know, very, very, very strong. And I think they're still 60 bucks. So Tom Ford to me is somewhat worth it depending on the scent that you're getting. I'm not sure these days because I haven't really paid attention much to the house. Um, but for $350 for a 50 mil, I think that's crazy. For 100 mil, that's already really pushing it. But for a 50 mil, it's got to be, you know, I wouldn't I wouldn't pick a Tom Ford to spend that kind of money on. I'll just say it that way. If you like it, you like it, right? But I'm giving this is my channel, this is my opinion, so take it for what it is. Um, so this is someone talking about Rasasi, right? I don't know. Judge me. I know some people are like, oh, that's trash or whatever, but I think there's some validity or some value to giving clone houses a chance, and especially ones that have been around for as long as Rasasi. I think like Latafa is another one, and Swiss Arabian. There's some of the old school G's when it comes to clone houses out of the Middle East. Um, and there's a lot that have popped up since then. But Rasasi seems to be holding their own, which is bringing me to these next points. Right, this is the Rasasi Black, and this is the Rasasi. I call it gold, but they call it the elixir. So neither one of these were on my radar at all, and I hadn't really been buying fragrances for a while. I usually buy towards the end of the year. At this point, um, I kind of budget, I guess, towards the end of the year and see what I have left, and then basically spend extra funds on some fragrances. These are not expensive, just like the Shiraz was like 24 bucks. These are like $25. You can get them, I believe, on Amazon, and you can get them on fragrance discounters and whatnot. But in that $25 range, maybe plus or minus a couple of bucks here and there. The point is, this is supposed to be a replica of Aventus, and I went to a perfume store and smelled it just because I go by and stop and see what's new and smell the new fragrances here and there, and I hadn't seen this, and I was like, ooh, that looks kind of cool. The bottle looks cool. I don't know if you can tell, but this is, you can see the juice. It's super dark. Anyway, when the dude sprayed it on me in the store, it was like pure oil. I mean, it didn't even um, it just you just saw like droplets, which is not necessarily a good or bad thing. To me, that just tells me that there's not a lot of alcohol, at least in the fragrance, but it still projected like crazy. And I was like, okay, I mean, like they're not cheaping out. Maybe again, you might take that for a bad thing if you can see the oil, but to me, at least you're not they're not cheaping out on the actual thing that makes the fragrance, right? So, and it smells like Aventus, and I'm a fan of Aventus. I just don't think it's worth, again, going back to value and whatnot, um, that there's so many other things that smell like it. Now, granted, the original Aventus, which I have, and it's not a new badge, it's from 2019, so it's not the oldest version or whatnot, but it's not the newest new either. It smells good. There's a difference in quality. You can smell the refinement. There is a different je ne sais quoi, right? If you want to keep the French. But if you want to smell like it and close to it and not spend $350, $450 for a bottle of that, and even if you get it through discounters like $250 through still is pretty pricey in my opinion. This is a very good alternative. It is literally a tenth of the cost of a discounted Aventus, and it smells very similar. To me, if you like the smokier, birchier take on Aventus, and maybe even where it leans a little bit more towards like, um, damn it, I can't remember, Hajivat or Hashivat, Hasivat by Nishane, right? So if you like that, um, to me, there's a little bit of something that kind of gives me a headache with that one. It still smells good. It's like a blend between that one and the smokier version of Ventus. Even I might even say the Aventus Absolute is very similar to this, and the Aventus Absolute to me smells a lot like the original Aventus, just a punchier, woodier, birchier version of it. And the pineapple, not really. It's this doesn't have like a pineapple note. Okay, so if that's the version of Aventus that you like, this may not be it for you. 24 bucks though, 25 bucks might be worth a shot. Moving on to this one. So I'm a fan of the, who isn't, I guess, right? They wouldn't sell that well if not, if a lot of people didn't like it. But like that, just like cheesy, kind of like department store kind of average sweet smelling fragrance, I it doesn't smell bad. Like there's a reason it's mass appealing. There's a reason it sells so well. And this one is supposed to be Rasasi's take on the Jean Paul Gaultier Elixir Gold, or the Absolute Elixir. It's the gold bottle with the black lines through it, right? The classic male physique bottle or a silhouette bottle, and which I like I said, but it's like $180 brand new. Even if you get it secondhand or through a discounter, it's still around the $100 range, which again, for something that is mass appealing, very, very similar to a lot of other fragrances, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I'd rather find something that smells very similar to it and go with that. This one, to me, smells great. Like there's your classic kind of like woodsy, ambery notes to it that every designer has. The vanilla, tiny bit of spices, like a little bit of caramel, and it lasts so long. Like this one is probably one of my beastliest fragrances that I have. Both of these are absolute monsters. I think this one, just because of the sweetness, lasts a little bit more, and it is super linear. There's not going to be any development on this. You spray it, you smell it from the atomizer, you're going to get that scent the entire way through. I wouldn't expect much evolution in clones in general, right? Like it's not a classic perfumery. It's not, I don't think they're meant for that personally. Um, but this one, strangely enough, it does. I don't know if it has a transition so much as it mellows out. And you go a little bit anosmic to it, kind of like a Ventus. However, uh, it does change and soften up over time. And the original punch isn't there over time, and it kind of goes into the woodier base. So I do like the dry down of this one, and it does have a transition, so that's a little bit entertaining for me. Um, so those are those, right? Those are the other Rasasi fragrances I have, and I'm gonna just recap on this one a little bit, the Shiraz. So I've been wearing it since I did the video, and it is very nice. It does have a transition, and here's the thing though, it's not a clone, right? This is, as far as I know, this is an original production of, unless you guys find something out that I don't know about and or like figure it out. I don't know of it being a clone of anything, which is awesome. And I got a compliment from my wife, most importantly, because she's around me the most out of anyone. And I didn't mention anything the way I usually try and test out a fragrance around her. I just put it on and let her comment about it. If she doesn't say anything, then that's neither good nor bad, right? It's like, okay, it is what it is, no big deal. She'll let me know right away if it's a bad one because she's like, oh, that gives me a headache or something like that. Or like, that doesn't smell good. But this one, I didn't get any mention of it. I just went, sat down on the couch next to her after spraying it maybe like 15 minutes, 10 minutes prior, and didn't say anything, just watching TV. And then maybe about 35, 45 minutes later, I said, hey, what'd you think of the fragrance that I have on? And she's like, oh, it's nice. I smelled it on my hand earlier because she had her hand on my neck. And I had sprayed it, I usually do a spray here and then a spray behind me, just kind of my normal thing. And then on my arms, right? But she had her hand here, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I smelled it on my hand earlier. I like it. It smells good." Hey, right? Like it's it's a very unique fragrance. And then the reason I put the cigars in that thumbnail when I posted it is because it does have a little bit of that tobacco on the dry down, and like I mentioned in the review, it's a different kind of tobacco, and as it dries down, you get a little bit more and more of it, um, and the soapiness kind of just mellows out, and that orthodontist kind of dentist smell also kind of mellows out and just becomes this almost like second skin type of wearing fragrance, right? It's not a in your face. It does kind of project pretty strong for the first hour or so, I would say maybe an hour and a half. But after that, it kind of dies down, and you just kind of like get used to it, and you kind of get wafts of it here and there. And just like the rest of these Rasasi ones, if you're someone who is a longevity and performance projection hound, and that's what you're looking for in fragrances, I recommend this house for you. And someone who's on a budget as well, or just likes to blind buy stuff and not spend a whole bunch of money, but does like the entertainment and excitement factor of blind buying. But be careful and be warned. It can turn addictive, and yeah, something that is not good if you if you need to stay in a budget. But I'm gonna wrap it up there. I've been rambling enough and long enough for now, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.